It's wow, wow. What a crazy, crazy time we are in. What a crazy time we are in. Daniel Levy is gone. Daniel Levy is gone. It's going to be there tickering across the screen right now. Levy is gone. This is a very last minute or very sort of impromptu Heart Now Here Spurs fans podcast. But yeah, listen, like many of you, I am shocked. I'm shocked. I'm telling the lads now. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if they know what's happened. Yeah, I'm looking into details as we speak, and it is it's just been announced 19 minutes ago. The official statement was Tottenham Hotspur announces that Daniel Levy has today stepped down from his role as executive chairman. He stepped down as his role from his role as executive chairman after nearly 25 years. Tottenham's been transformed over the last quarter of a century. Blah, 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 blah. The club has competed regularly at the highest level, including the recent Europa League Cup win. As part of its succession planning, the club has made a number of senior appointments in recent months. Vinay Venkatesham was hired as a CEO, Thomas Frank as a new men's head coach, Martin Ho as the women's head coach. Peter Charrington joined the board and will step into the newly created role of non-executive chairman. Peter Charrington is the name that we're looking at now. Daniel Levy said, I am incredibly proud of the work I've done together with the executive team and all our employees. We have built this club into a global heavyweight, competing at the highest level. More than that, we have built a community. I was lucky enough to work with some of the greatest players in this sport, from the team at Lily White House and Hotspur Way to all the players and managers over the years. I wish to thank all the fans that have supported me over the years. I don't know how many of those actually supported him, but yeah, whatever. It hasn't always been an easy journey, but significant progress has been made. I will continue to support this club passionately. And Peter Charrington, which is in the new title of non-executive chairman, said, I'm very honoured to become non-executive chairman of this extraordinary club. And on behalf of the board, I would like to thank Daniel and his family for their commitment and loyalty to the club over so many years. This is a new era of leadership for the club on and off the pitch. I do recognise there has been a lot of change in recent months as we put in a new foundations for the future. We are now fully focused on stability and empowering our talented squad. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm sure, like a lot of you are. I just don't know what to think. Yeah, it come out of the blue. Like for me, it's one of those ones where nothing really alluded to it. I put an Instagram post out just now before I decided to go live. The other lads, I'm not sure if they're out. A lot of them do the football training with the kids and that, so they may not even seen this. But yeah, I was shocked when I saw it, and you don't know what to think, because if you look at it, let's not forget this guy. He was doing he did the overlap with Gary Neville. As far as I know, he was doing deals up until what, Monday, and it's Thursday, and he's gone. He's gone. Is there something happening behind the scenes? This man Peter Charrington now, who is in charge. I mean, yeah, it's a bombshell. It's a bombshell, massively breaking news, and I'm not sure how anyone knows how to take it. At the end of the day, I think if we look at what he's been to Tottenham, we've said it on this podcast again and again and again that this man has been fantastic in a business sense. You know, we look at that stadium, we look at and he has been massively instrumental in that. The club has never been one to lose out and to not have any losses in money or anything like that. We're stable. In fact, we're more than stable. Where he has been wrong, and where we've constantly said, even on this podcast, we've constantly said that he falls short when it comes to player negotiations. He's far too involved in it. He sort of probably ensures that we don't really go the extra mile to get the kind of players that we want. And I think with that in mind, like that's really a problem that's going to be alongside his legacy. The business legacy, we're all accept that, you know, we can't fault him. That stadium was incredible. And he was massively instrumental behind that. The stuff I hear and the stuff that he's done, how meticulous he is over every detail, from every blade of grass to every part of the concrete structure. He is all over it. And for that, we've got to thank him. But if you look at what's happened, like the Eze deal, is that something, you know, we can talk about Eze's love for Arsenal and whatnot, but we were talking to this guy for weeks and then it fell apart because we waited too long. I've heard the deal was done, but we just was haggling on things, and therefore he ended up going to Arsenal when Havertz got the injury. You look at these scenarios and you go, there's been that. There's been players that we've missed out before because they don't want to pay that extra. The amount of money we've had to pay out to managers, sacking Pochettino at a time when it was only the real, outside of his first couple of months, it was Pochettino's first blip as Tottenham manager after guiding us to a Champions League final with no transfer budget. You know, you've got to look at these factors and say, well, you know, does he cover himself in glory in that sense with the footballing matters? Sacking Ange, now whether that's a right thing and a wrong thing, I think we're very divided as a fan base about that. It was still a big call, and it was done at a time when really the man's turned around the mentality of this club. He was huge in changing the mentality of this club. Now I think we've got someone in Thomas Frank that will be a really, really good appointment. But again, it was done in a way where it just felt undistinguished, and I think in that sense that's been my problem with Levy and Kev and Matties and TJ and everyone that we've had over the years. They've said that, and now it's crazy. Bill Nicholson Pub live with us says Peter and Vinay dealt with them signings. That's why we had a decent end to the window when he's talking about Simmons and obviously Muani. It's who's to know? Who is to know how this has all come about? Something must have happened. That's all I'm going to say. There's no way that you let somebody start a new season and end it there. Or, why? Or was it always in his intention to stand down at the end of a transfer window once he's appointed a manager and once those deals are done? If so, why? Why did he have to oversee those? If anything, you'd leave at the end of the season, right? You leave as a champion, where now he's 3 games in. And as far as I know, I'm sure some of you can tell me, but as far as I know, he was at the game on he was at the game on Saturday. So it's crazy. I know a lot will come out over the time, also sometimes you've got to think health, and hopefully you don't ever want it to be something that's health related, but it's not mentioned, and sometimes that is the case. Sometimes things are kept private, which is totally understandable, but the fact he has stepped down at a time when really you're looking at Tottenham and you're saying, well, there's a big season ahead. We've got the Champions League, we're European champions through the Europa League. It's interesting. I mean, there's people out there. What's the point? FC says yes. Woohoo! Elvis has left the building, and I'm sure many are like, "What's the point?" FC commenting as we're live across all our platforms right now about this scenario. There are going to be people watching Sky Sports News, listening to Talk Sport, going on every social column. There'll be every Spurs outlet, whether it's official, whether it's fans like us, Last Word on Spurs, everyone's going to be talking about this now. And I'm sure as things unravel, we're going to learn a little bit more. But for me, it's definitely got to be around the fact that something's not right. Something's not right, because he doesn't strike me as the kind of chairman that would give up, and to give up like that. Like, there's been no sense that this was happening. There was no sense that He was winding down. As I said, I think if anything, they've been looking to rejuvenate his character. He did the interview with Vinay, and I think I read some stuff that Vinay was very strong on ensuring that we see a change in character of these people that are running our club. And Vinay was very key in that. So that's why that interview happened. Not long after, we see the Gary Neville thing. If these are the things that are happening when a man is on his way out after 25 years, then it's a very weird way. And never did he give the impression that he was on his way out at all. Never did he give an impression that he was on his way out at any time recently. Look how he talked about Thomas Frank and sacking Ange. That's the sign of a man that wants to get this project going. And yeah, I don't know. When it comes to it, there's so many different things you could think about. Is this to do with the fact that there'll be some outside investment coming in? Who knows? I know we've got this non-executive chairman now, Peter Charrington, but was it the fact that there were loggerheads? Was it that as soon as Vinay came in, he wasn't sure on Daniel and Vinay's power with whoever is making those big decisions like Joe Lewis, or who I don't think actually is involved as much anymore. But was that to do with anything? Either way, not long after, I think it's Donna Cullen left. I think Donna Cullen is a name who obviously stepped down. She stepped down on the 2nd of June. Not long after, Levy's gone, and she was his right-hand woman. So I think it's interesting. Is there? I mean, if there is outside investment coming in, it's coming at the wrong time because we can't do anything until January now. But listen, in many ways, I think it was the right time for him to go. I feel like with Daniel Levy, we've been on a massive roundabout. I believe that he has, just listening through, if you listen through different podcasts or different radio shows, if you look on it, you see that basically he's not favored himself to many of the chairman, many of the people that deal with transfers in and amongst the game. He's not got a great relationship with many, and in the end, you can only cause so much trouble before people are like, look, you're being a hindrance to the club. And if that's what he's being, then I think it was time to go. I felt it was time to go. Probably ages ago. How long have we said about it on this podcast? This podcast's been going for nearly 5 years, and we've been saying pretty much since then that the man, as forever how good he is as a businessman, does not know what he's doing. He sacked Poch. He brought in someone in Jose who he thought was a serial winner. Wins everywhere he goes. It'll work. But really didn't back him in the transfer window, which is what Jose likes. And it doesn't take long then to fill out. Sacks him before a cup final. 5 days, 6 days before a cup final, he sacks him. Puts in Ryan Mason, who's never managed a game in his life, puts him in as the manager in a cup final. Mad, right? Absolute mad. Brings in Nuno after not being able to secure the talent he wanted, which was Antonio Conte and some others. Brings in Nuno, doesn't feel the fit. Fans didn't help there at the same point. I'll be honest with that. Guy got manager of the month, 3-1-0 wins. By October, he's out. But he was gone. They're getting Conte in. Right, happy days. Conte makes top 4. He's backed a little bit in the transfer window, if I'm honest, but they were still making those purchases. Those purchases being youth players at 20 million, 30 million, the Ryan Sessegnons, Jed Spencers, who, hopefully and thankfully at the moment is coming good. But spending the money there, which accrues 30 million here, 30 million there, 40 million here, 30 million there. All of a sudden, you're thinking you're spending big money, which you are, but it's all on potential. Lo Celso, Brian Hill, all these types. And then before you know it, they're not ready-made. So the team is still pretty much in the area where it's scraping for fourth at very best. Conte sees it, doesn't like it, calls out the chairman. He's gone. Right, Ryan Mason's back in charge. Then we get Ange because he realizes he's got to do something to appease the fan base who are going nuts. They're like, you're picking all these managers, they don't play our way, they don't want it, they don't care as much about it. They bring in Ange. He plays the most cavalier, gung-ho football, which we love and hate in equal measure, but he wins us a cup. He wins us a cup and he gets fired. For right or wrong, again, that's a different story. We've had that story, we've had that conversation on this pod, on many forums within our social. But again, then he goes, right, okay, well, I'm going to go for the next man who's quite strategic, who can work on a budget, who's good at coaching, Thomas Frank, which Thomas Frank's great. Right, at the end of the day, I'm not here to knock Thomas Frank. He started very well. I think he will succeed or be, moderately successful, depending on how you gauge what success is. But again, then it's like, okay, well, we want to look at this player, that player, Eze. We want and we're losing out on talent again. Look at that January when, regardless of what you think of him, Armand Traore, who's now at Wolves, was on the bench at times, when we just needed someone with power and pace to play the way that Conte needed to play. He had hassled, waited, did Levy. Traore ended up going to Barcelona on loan. It's these moments that have infuriated the fan base who have got to the point now where they want him out. And look, if we win today, we would celebrate with a team like we did against City. It only takes a loss where we calling him again. And, I know people are talking about us having a decent end to the transfer window with Simmons and Muani, but it could have been better. At the end of the day, if we are a European champion, we're going into the Champions League and we are looking to do what he said, why can't you put out that little bit more? Why can't you say, right, these are the players that we need and we're going to go out and we're going to get them early. Get them in early, get them in with a pre-season under a new manager, get them as fit and ready and as comfortable into the new season as possible. But we don't. Like, those 2 signings were made with 4 days to go in the window. 3 games into a new season, 4 if you count the Super Cup. So for me, yeah, I'm happy he's gone. I feel he's done well in a business sense, but has he done much more for us in the sense of making the playing team a lot better? No. The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is a massive financial asset for the owners of Tottenham Hotspur. We love it as a stadium, no doubt, but the lane was beautiful for us as well. We care about success happening in that stadium, and I feel it's all very measured. Now, that may not change. This may just be a falling out of the top level, and that they think that there's somebody that needs to be newly in charge to negotiate with all the chairmen that are around when it comes to January and next August and years to come. It just needs a fresh approach, and that can be as simple as it is. Whatever will happen is going to be very, very interesting. I'll just say a couple more things before I sign off. What's the point? FC said he starved us of trophies, but he's left us in a wonderful condition. And that's it. We will thank him for the things like the stadium and the financial stability. But let's not forget, it has come at a cost where, we've been able to maybe push to make our squad stronger. What do you think when we had Poch and we had those players like Kane and Ali and Ericsson at their best, and we just didn't go over the line to buy the players that were ready-made? We always bought potential, always bought the one that no one else really wanted. We never went for that top-tier talent. And, I don't look at the balance sheets. I'm a football fan, like all of us. That doesn't care for me. But when I see the things that have come out over the last year, wage to profit ratio, the most paid chairman in Europe, the amount of match day revenues and amount what we spent. When you see all that, you can't help but say, come on. Look, I'm not asking you to all of a sudden go crazy and spend beyond your means, but you can do a bit more. Eze was a perfect example of that. But listen, I'm going to do what I'm sure many of you are doing or will do over the next few hours, days, looking at sports news, seeing what's happening, hearing from certain people to find out what you think has happened. And what an absolute bombshell for a Thursday night. I mean, at least it's something to talk about when there's no football because it's the international break, eh? But yeah, this has been a Bombshell, an emergency Heart Now Here podcast. Thanks for getting in touch. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we will speak to you soon. But yeah, what a bombshell. Whatever happens, he's gone. The club stays here. We're here. Come on, you Spurs. See you.